Hey everyone, what's up? This is a Daily Creative Challenge. That actually was the wrong intro, and I apologize. I've been doing these Daily Creative Challenges for the past week and a half. We're down to our last 3 days, but yes, it's a master class if you're new to text manipulation in Photoshop. So I apologize for that. Silly me. Silly me. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is going to be really fun. This is your Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. We're going to travel around. We're going to go to Iceland, and basically we're going to manipulate some text and have some fun. So that is the goal. Thanks to everybody participating in the challenges, by the way. Yeah, masterclass. I get it. That is this Friday, in case you're wondering. So masterclass this Friday at 9:30 a.m. By the way, I just wanted to point out some of these amazing submissions that have been coming through. We can see Nadia's talking about, or actually just kind of showing filter effects. So, and a number of other cool ones where people are experimenting. So that's what we wanted to see, just so you guys experiment, have some fun in Photoshop. Text is the, next to the selection tool, is the most widely used tool in Photoshop. So that's why we're working on text manipulation. You can get the started file right here, and I'll just post this link so you guys have it. And yeah, let's get this party started, right? And really you want to be able to do pretty much, you can do anything that you want in Photoshop when it comes to text. Sometimes some text elements might be easier in Illustrator, I'm not gonna lie, right? But it just depends on the level of control that you want. All right, so let's get this party started. We have our file that we've downloaded, so get started, it's right there. Just go ahead and download this file right here as we travel to all sorts of different parts of the world, and here we are. This is the file that we're working on. Cool. All right. Hello everyone. Michelle, Janice, hello. Mumanul, hello. Sunflowers, Hamza. Good to see everyone. This is awesome. So we have some text right here, as you can see, just says travel, and you know the cool thing is to remove all the vowels from a word, so that makes it cool, right? And really, some people will think, okay, I probably should open up the paragraph panel, and then I can open up the character panel, and you'll have all these panels for this text to modify it, right? And there's additional menus where you can actually click right here. I think I have everything being shown. Yep. So, but nonetheless, you don't really need to have all these floating panels around because the properties panel is going to serve up exactly what you need. So we'll pull out this properties panel like so, and we can see that here are all of the properties for this text. So I just use Myriad Pro because that's the default font that you'll use in Photoshop. Who needs vowels, right? Yeah, it's very much chat speak. That's so true. This is the cool new thing to do, right? We could jump in and change that to anything that we want as I kind of roll through some of this different text. So I can change this to this phosphate. These happen to be my favorited fonts right up here, right? Up at the top, because I'm really into this. Milka is super fun. But obviously you can sort by the class of font that you want. Don't forget, when this is checked, you might be looking for a font and you're like, where's Arial, for instance? It's not listed. It's because you have the filter on. So just keep an eye out for those. You can get more Adobe fonts. This is all pretty straightforward, but hey, this is a Daily Creative Challenge. So I'm covering the basics. Right here we have this lovely text. I'm going to select a different font. Let's go with that one, right? And what we have in this file are different layers, okay? Cool. Travel. So here we have a bunch of different images back here too. Oh, these are such cool images, right? So cool. It would be really cool, and I think this is always a great thing to do, maybe put an image inside of this text, right? So I want to put this image, layer 4, inside of that text, right? How you used to do it is select it, right, by holding down some magic key and applying that as a layer mask. If we do that, yes, it's in there, but we can't edit that text anymore, right? So that's the problem with doing any layer mask business. Let's turn this on, and what we'll do instead is we'll take this text, we'll drag it beneath the layer that we want filled inside of that text layer, and then we could just do our right click, create clipping mask, as I take a drink of coffee. This is my 3rd cup today, by the way. Ah, that's good stuff. Sorry if that sounded gross. It's one of my pet peeves too. It's like, I don't need to hear you eating. I don't like to smell food, really. Or have the smell of food in your clothes. No, I don't want to hear you, all the things. Here it is. Now I can move this around. This is a clipping mask, and we're going to have fun with that. Hey, we can throw that one on here. Let's throw on a couple. Hold down the Option key, or excuse me, the Alt key if you're on a PC, and I can have that inside, so that's fun to work with. Clip it. That's right, Carol knows what's up. I love clipping masks. I use them all the time. But let's go beyond this simple text, by the way. And we can still have fun with bending this and all sorts of things. But I want to deal with something more complex if I could. All right. Yeah, I'm not coming to your social eating ASMR stream. That's disgusting. You know, it's like, your car shouldn't smell like food. It's not a restaurant. It's a car. All right, so in here, I added some more text as well. Let's turn that off. Let's turn on some of these other layers. To travel, and I absolutely love this quote since we're kind of dealing with travel, and I'm going through travel withdrawals, right? We have this layer right here. And what is this? This is an area text. So how this is created, by the way, I'll just copy this and delete it. Right? It's going to be like it's done in other apps. Click and drag. There's my text box. Paste in the text you want to use, right? All pretty straightforward. This is point text, by the way, as well. So right down here, Aldous Huxley's, who's quoted as saying this. And we can convert from one to the other right in here. So you might not know this, but this is like a, what would you call it? It's like, based on what you're selected, it gives you the opposite of that. So since I have point text selected, convert to paragraph text, right? And it'll give me this paragraph text like what we see here. Okay, if I have this paragraph text selected, convert to point text. Just so you know, that's happening. Let's have some fun with this, okay? Favorite travel destination? Oh gosh, there's too many to name. I like warm climates, even though we're kind of dealing with this lovely image right here. This is what I'm going to do. I would go with Morocco. There you go. I think Morocco is probably one of my favorite destinations. Okay, so we're going to play with this. I'm going to move really fast. I'm going to start formatting this the way I would format it. Right? I would go in, I would change the font size, maybe go to DIN condensed. I like condensed fonts, right? Another one you can think about is Acumen Variable Concept. These variable concept fonts give you a ton of control. So I'll select that variable concept font. Oh, look, let's adjust the weight of it, the width, and let's take out this spacing, by the way. But right in here, it's like, yeah, I want them to be thin, but have a heavy weight, right? I want them big and bold, but not all the text to be that way. So this is where I start to add breakpoints. Return. Let's take this text. Let's crank up the size. Zip. I'm going to do this fast. In fact, this is what you're going to run into as you start to work on this. It's going to start wrapping weird and having kind of some interesting spacing issues. Let's hit enter. Let's move this down. I get it. Zip. Bring that back in, and I'm just scrubbing on these numbers, and that adjusts it. Okay, so that's what's happening here. But oftentimes, you're going to want more control than what you get with paragraph text, right? So that's what I'm doing now. It's going to start to change as I change the size of this text. I'm going to do a type lockup kind of like this. Okay, so I can still select this one. I can change the weight of it because I want it to be really bold and big on the top. Stretch it out a little bit. Something kind of like that. I take that back. I don't like that. Right, so I want to change this back to to this font, condensed 73 bold. Wait for it. I have too much to show today. And I'm so optimistic. I'm so optimistic. Take that down. There we go. That looks better. I typically would break this up onto multiple lines. That's what I'm going to do right now. So let's do that right now. Take this, cut it, bam, boom, bam. Make sounds like it should be making, bam, pasting that in. This is now point text, right? And then I have this line right in here as I select it, right? Let's cut this out as well, cutting that out. And now we have this paragraph text in the middle, and then we have point text on either side. Do it, go, do it, hurry, Paul, hurry. There we go. Our type lockup, okay? So let's check this out. By the way, if I could do this, you guys can do this. A lot of this it comes down to design fundamentals, right? I'm going to show you how to create lots of effects, and your job is an exercise in restraint, okay, on what should I manipulate, what should I not manipulate. I would typically add rulers, and I would throw some lines in here, right, making sure everything is lined up, and we can see this text right in here. Not quite lined up. Take that down in size, and I can always put it on its own line. Okay, so that's how I would adjust this. I could add any spaces that I want. Let's hide those. Let's get rid of this period. We don't need that period there, right? People are already gonna know that there's a period right there, and we'll make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, this kind of works. I don't know, it could... It still needs helps. It still needs helps. It still needs help. Okay, so this is like okay. I would probably have a bolder line down here, but I think this type lockup is pretty good so far. We have Aldous Huxley right down here, and we'll work on this later, right? We can put him off to the side. We can change this to white, and let's get into manipulating this text, because there's so much I want to do in here. Changing that like so. Okay. So let's take this. Let's take all three of these layers, right? And then we will just convert them into a smart object. We will make them one complete unit just like they were before, but I have the flexibility of them all being still on their own layer and editable, right? So that's what I have now. This looks great. What we're gonna do now is what will look really cool is if we take this text and we flip it, so Command J for jump, and then we'll take that second layer and we'll move it down, and what do we wanna do? We want to flip this second layer and basically mirror it on the bottom. So, shortcut key for you pros, yes, we can always go right up here to transform and then do a flip vertical. That has to be one of the farthest ways your mouse has to travel. I had to go clear up to the top, clear down, boop, boop, like so far. My mouse was like taking breaths because like, oh, that's too far to travel. What I typically do, Command T, that's gonna give you your transform, and then you can right click, and oh, there it is, flip vertical. So that's how I transform everything. We flip it vertically, we'll move it down like so, right? And now we have this text right down here, the mirrored text, right? So you ready for this? Yeah, reflected on the waves. And some of you might know this, like, I don't know, Michelle, if you know this, or Reverb Mike, but right in here, you could do a couple things. You could play with the blend mode. That's one thing I would do. Change that to overlay, blends it in more. But also we want to give it the same ripples that we have down here. So what we can do is we can go to filter, and this is what people will try, okay? You'll go into, you can do this a couple different ways. I want to show two different ways. We'll go down to something called wave, because that seems to make the most sense. Hey, we'll just add waves to it right down here. The biggest problem people make with this is they have the number of generators too high. So it's going to be a zillion a zillion of generators, it's really going to make it look messy, okay? Also the wavelength. So we start to get this very small thumbnail right over here of what we can control. Okay, so we have the minimum and maximum amplitude. Everything is going to be hugging this left side, right? I want this to be scaled horizontally, right? Because it's going to adjust it horizontally, not vertically, because they're horizontal waves. And this is probably, I guess, the biggest slider you need to worry about, right? And you can add some more in here, change the wavelengths. You'll do something like that. You'll click OK, and you'll get it kind of like that. You're like, yes, Gautam. So that's my next step. You're exactly right. Give that man a prize. You win a free cup of coffee. But like, look at this. This is the same amount of ripple throughout the whole thing. So that doesn't quite work out, right? It's the same amount of wave throughout the whole thing. So let's just duplicate this for fun, just so we have that as a backup. And remember, this is wave. This is the next step. You'll go to filter. You'll go into liquify, right? Hey, it's water. Let's liquify it. Geez. If you've ever been with me at least once, you'll know I always jump into Liquify. And here I have control over kind of pushing this text around. Okay, let's turn off show backdrop, or I can turn that on, but I can actually use a specific layer. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, did you know that? Because that other text was kind of getting in the way. So just show that layer 2 behind it, and I can come in and kind of push this text around. This is going to give you the most control, but it's still going to take some work. If I was doing this professionally for a job, I would probably, I would do this, but I'd also try the next thing that's coming up. So again, if you distort it too much, up here, the second brush is the restore button. I wish I had this everywhere. Hey, let's just roll it back because I screwed it up. That's the rolled it back because I screwed it up button. There we are, there's that text. You get the idea. Whew, I'm going fast. Okay, third thing I'm gonna do, you ready for this? Let's just jump this layer. Remember, this is Liquify, UIFY. Have them all nice, neat, named. And let's take, again, this text. And you're right, so who said it? Another thing, displacement maps. So that's what we're gonna work on next, and I get it. This is just a daily creative challenge. This is how intense as it's gonna get. You know this, and you're gonna be sitting pretty. But I'm saving out a file that just kind of has the background there. So this is, it's not gonna be a displacement map, it's gonna be a diffuse map. Or diffuse is actually what you should pick, but basically it's a displacement map. That's what I refer to it as, or a bump map, because that's essentially what it is. We'll do text diffuse, and we'll save it to our desktop, okay? And keep in mind, let's open up our original. So now we have these two files, right? Here's my diffuse map, here's my text, my original file. We'll turn on this layer. We will go to filter, distort. Does I say displace, diffuse? Am I getting all these mixed up? Okay, displacement map. I'm sorry, diffuse. Kind of does the same thing, but this bump map, I'm so sorry guys, I titled it diffuse when it's supposed to be displace. This horizontal and vertical scale, you're gonna have to play with this. Depends on the resolution of your file, okay? So right now for this, I have it set to like 50 and 50. Stretch to fit. So take that map and stretch it to the edges. Key thing to remember here is your displacement map and your final file should be the same size, right? That's the only thing. Repeat edge pixels, sure, click OK. Grab your diffuse or displacement, click OK, and there it is, right down here. It went ahead and distorted it like so. So before and then after, and we can see what it did. It starts to even pull it down, which is so interesting. Right? The great thing is I could add more to this. And by the way, it's really working right over here. This is where I notice it. That is nice. I can always take this, and my next sort of inclination is to go into Liquify as well and push this around accordingly, right? To make it a little bit more interesting. Hopefully I got that. But this is what I would do, is just add, you can layer those effects one on top of the next. Click OK, you get the idea. Let's change this. Overlay mode. Turn that on. Turn this on. 0. We have your displace. And there we are. Okay, you get the idea. The cool thing is, by the way, I would move this up and make this smaller. Maybe this is part of that text above. I can always add it later on. But you have a number of images in here. So we could do the same thing with this text as well. What if we wanted to do it with this text? This would be really fun as well. So taking the same text, I would probably stretch it out more. I would make it white, right? Let's just cheat it and just do a color overlay of white because I'm lazy. There we go. Click OK. Zoop. Crank that up all the way. There we go. Okay, so here's our text. We can do the same thing. So all you need is to save out this file, right? Let's go to Save As. This will be Dolphin. So Dolphin have an E on the end. Go in here, displace, click OK, grab that dolphin, and we can see that distortion as well. Cool, so it works better depending on the image, right? So this one actually works out pretty well, by the way. I encourage you, sometimes you'll get too much distortion. It means just go into that original file, right? Please somebody tell me if dolphin has an E. Does it, or am I losing my mind? All right, so let's just save this as text. This is our new text file, text2. But go to that original dolphin file. It just looks weird. Tell me. It doesn't have an E. Okay. Is it? Yeah? All right, so right in here, could you use wind also? You could use anything that you want with this. The big thing is back to this original image. It helps to just kind of convert this to black and white, right? And just so you can see all the brightness and the darks. And by the way, you can crank that up and adjust this all you want to make it fit your needs. So right in here, we can make this a little brighter, a little darker, give it a little bit more contrast. I would even take this original file and blur it. So go into, say, Gaussian blur, give it a soft blur, and you won't have as many sharp edges in your file, right? So that's what you want to do with your displacement map. Cool. So there's my dolphin. We'll see it applied a little bit differently here. So we'll just go in here, double click, click OK, grab that blurred version, click OK, and look how it cleaned it up, right? All right. Thank you. Dolphin doesn't have any. I don't know why I'm like, sometimes you're just like, have I been not getting enough sleep? So awesome. Fantastic. Everybody gets it. Pretty cool design, right? Don't forget to credit the person who's quoted with saying it. The cool thing is, this is a smart object. We can jump in, we can go to edit, we can make this larger. First off, I need to make this canvas size a little larger. Right, there we go. Boom, 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 down, bah, bah. Move that over here. Get that right in there. Maybe it's part of this. Save it, close. And there we are. Let's go back. Just added the name right in here, right? Key thing is, by the way, I can't move this. This is mapped to these waves. If I want to move this, what I would actually do is I would go inside of this original file and move content around accordingly. So this is where I'd move it down and make sure it has enough space and all that good stuff. Saving the file, closing it. You guys get the idea. I'm down on my last minute. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, right? Feel free, add your own quote. I firmly believe in this. Quick export as JPEG to the desktop. Publish it out like so, and put it out there on Discord in current challenge. Distorting text. Distorting text. Should probably want to spell check. Need spell check on file names is what I need. Right, there it is. Feel free to publish your own, add your own quote, have fun with it. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I really appreciate you, Michelle and Jay and Mia and Reverb Mike, always with the pro tips. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm gonna be joining later today, doing some draw along with me. So we'll be using Illustrator and Illustrator on the iPad later on. But not to worry, what you have next is, do we have combining imagery with Holly Rose. Oh, this will be fun. I love it. A little Photoshop action, full day of fun stuff, as you could imagine. So take care, everybody. We'll be back in a second. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned.